Yo, what up? Brutal Flack once again. And as I spoke about before, there's a fight looming March 12th at the Believe MGM Grand, Las Vegas, pitting Miguel Cotto from Puerto Rico against the ever popular, ever controversial, ever hilarious Ricardo Mayorga. Um, this is a fight really that came out of nowhere. In the in relation to who you know they were picking for Cotto to fight next. Cotto had a pretty you know I would say bad 2009. Um, Having a controversial decision win over Clottey, which I thought he won, but didn't look too good, and also the fight with Manny Pacquiao. So 2010 comes, takes about 6 7 months off. Um, Tragically, his father passes away. Obviously, big part of his life, and anybody that's lost a father can relate to that. Not something obviously that you get over within a couple days, but he went on and fought Yuri Foreman under now the tutelage of Emmanuel Stewart, and he looked good. For what we would expect out of him against somebody like a Yuri Foreman. Obviously, Foreman, we all know what happened to him with his knee. But I think, regardless of if that happened or not, I think Cotto was going to win that fight. He was on his way to really controlling the fight, and he looked comfortable in the ring. And that's the best you can say for him, opposed to 2009, where he had come back even from a loss to Margarito, and then had a fight with Jennings, and then skipped over to the Clottey fight. I think he needed or this rest that he's had. It's gonna go about almost a year since he's been in the ring, and I think he needed it. I think he needed really time to, um, just heal his body. People forget that like all these guys that he's fought in the past 3 4 years, man. I mean, I think minus Andre Berto and obviously Floyd Mayweather, he's fought every welterweight that's mattered. And he's never ducked anybody. Guy comes and fights whoever it is. And I think, he needed this time to just heal. And not only that, but like I said, I mean, he, prior to the Foreman fight, months prior, his dad died. And actually, I think it's about almost a year, if not around the time where he did, where he died. I mean, it was, I believe, early January of last year. So, I mean, like I said, it takes time for somebody to really recoup from that type of loss, and it's going to be interesting, really, to see who or how he's going to perform now. Now that really the smoke has cleared, and now this is really a bounce back to see if he can have a second, like a good solid second run before he hangs up the gloves. Now, Mayorga is, he kind of was the dark horse in the sense of getting this fight, but he got the fight. I think more so than anything because he's a name, and I think the names they had were Vanis and Wolak, who were two 154-pound contenders, but they don't have the name or recognition to really make a fight with Cotto appealing, and that's really like the business side coming into play for this. But in the same sense, I think in comparison to like how people are bitching about Pacquiao and Mosley, I think people are gonna be intrigued for this fight just because of how Mayorga fights. I mean, he's entertaining inside and outside the ring, which is another interesting point considering I'm wondering how these press conferences are gonna go because Mayorga, um, he's a loudmouth. I mean, and for those who don't understand Spanish, I mean, I do, and it's hilarious to me. Like especially the the duel he had with Vargas when they were promoting their fight. That's just comedy beyond belief. Now with Cotto, we're not used to seeing that from anybody. I mean, if you take the two guys, I would say that were the biggest loudmouths that he's fought were Malignaggi and Judah. And even when they were trying to kind of bring something out of Cotto, it was tough because how do you talk bad about Cotto? I mean, there's nothing that he does. I mean, Mayorga now, I mean, I guess he could talk about his wife and his kids, and he can call him a quitter. It's like some people would call him, ignorantly, but you know, Cotto doesn't really respond to any of that. Like, he just really he treats the sport like a job. He has a task at hand and he has to do it. And he's no bullshit. He's just straightforward. He comes to fight, and Mayorga too. I mean, Mayorga, his downfall in this fight, I think, is just the age factor, and really just being outskilled and really dealing with a guy who's gonna attack to the body like nothing Mayorga's seen, maybe besides De La Hoya, who hit him with some shots too and broke him down. But I mean, Cotto, even in this fight that he had with Foreman, you started to see those left hooks coming. I think you're gonna see that more because Mayorga's really stationary, and I think people who give Cotto problems are people who are always on the move for him to land a body shot. And I think Mayorga in this stage of his career can't afford to take left hooks to the body from a guy like Cotto, who I think even at 154 has power. This illusion that that people think that he has no power against these guys need to understand how power's transferred up in weight. It's favors him more than him dropping weight. So I think down the stretch, this fight, I think this fight won't go out at like 7-8 rounds. I think Cotto is just gonna systematically break him down, and Mayorga will make a fight out of it. And Cotto has to be careful. Let's not pretend that Ricardo Mayorga's has absolutely no chance in this fight. I mean, he's got a puncher's chance, like most people are saying. The speed factor's not there, the footwork's not there, the overall movement, ring generalship, that all goes to Cotto. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful with a guy like Ricardo Mayorga who, will swing, and that one shot can really turn a fight around. And Cotto's got to be wary of that. And I think Emmanuel Stewart and their team are going to put together a good game plan to really just take Mayorga out. And I think, again, this is a good fight for Cotto to come back in. I think it's not too soft of a fight, but it's a good, probably a good confidence builder, and really just, I mean, you could essentially call it a workout in the sense of really, getting in there with a guy who's going to be coming after you and coming to hurt you, because the next step in line is a fight with Margarito, and he's got to be prepared for that fight, no matter how beat up Margarito now may be. That this is a good prep fight for Margarito. Fight, obviously, different styles, different size, but the pace itself can somewhat translate to what he may be seeing in June or July, whenever that fight may happen. But in any case, I got Cotto winning this fight by stoppage, maybe a left hook to the body, or the ref just saying enough's enough. And like I said, we'll see what happens from there. If he's gonna get this fight with Margarito, be possibly the biggest rematch in years. And there's such a big storyline you can make with that fight. I think that's a fight that may outdo the first one as far as sales pay-per-view and promotion and everything. I mean, they really, that'll be a big fight. Big fight. But obviously, let's see what happens first. March 12th, I got Cotto, TKO, knockout, whichever one comes first, or so have you. But like I always say, subscribe. Let me know what you think. As I always say, hit up the podcast. We're working on episode 11. It's at the robreportshow.blogspot.com, the blog, robertoflatchronicles.com, and just hit up the info portion of the videos. Check all the links, all the free music, all the downloads. Got big stuff ahead in 2011. So stay tuned, and I'll be back soon. Peace.